Welcome to Aspire High channel, an education content channel primarily intended for management studies. In this video session, we shall discuss Unit 10, Training and Development. We will focus on important questions and the suggested answers for the coming term and examination this month. We have discussed earlier block-wise the important questions for this coming term and examination this month. Based on that, in respect of Unit 10 Training and Development, there are 6 important topics from which we can expect the questions in the coming examination, 20 marks questions. And in the June 2024 examination, no question was asked from Unit 10. Therefore, the probability of getting a question from Unit 10 Training and Development this time is very high. The 6 topics are defining training, needs and benefits of training, steps involved in the training process, evaluation of training, retraining, making training a strategic function. These are the topics. We shall start with the first topic, defining training. Actually, word training is simply known to everyone and also understood basically what training is. Only thing is, from the examination point of view, more and more insights are to be discussed. As already said, there are 6 topics, so we will go on discussing one after another. First is simply training definition. Training is defined as a short-term process utilizing a systematic and organized procedure by which personnel acquire technical knowledge and skills for a definite purpose. Here the important words are, it is a short-term process. Normally a training will be conducted for, say, nowadays 5 days like that. In the olden days, that is some 30 years back, training used to be even stretched for 3 weeks, and in certain sectors like agriculture, extension and all that, training used to be even for 3 months. But nowadays that culture has changed totally. Nowadays training is confined to a very shorter period. So our definition is also very much apt. That is a short-term process utilizing a systematic and organized procedure. That means there will be a training institute, there will be a training module or a training schedule specifically. So everything is very much systematic. There will be a timetable. Suppose it is a 5-day program, there will be a timetable for the entire 5 days, and there will be 2 sessions in the morning, 2 sessions in the afternoon, like that, 1.5 hour total, something like 6 hours per day. The very much organized and very much systematic procedure, wherein the objective is the people who are participating in the training program acquire technical knowledge and skills for a definite purpose. That is how training is defined. If at all the human resources are to be developed, the organization should create conditions in which people acquire the new knowledge and skills and develop healthy patterns of behavior and styles. Here healthy patterns of behavior and styles means as required by the organizational culture, existing organizational culture, because new people will be joining as new recruits into the organization. They will be coming into the organization, and they should get absorbed into the organization culture, for which also not just knowledge or skill, that entire behavioral patterns, everything, the new entrants are to be taught properly so that they can get assimilated into the culture of the organization. In this context, training is the main mechanism, or training is the process that is required to achieve this objective. And one of the main mechanisms of achieving this environment is institutional training. Institutional training means an organization should have its own training institute, or it should have an arrangement of sending their employees for training to another effectively training institute, or it can nominate their people on different topics to different training institutes. So in any way, it is an institutional training. After understanding the definition of training, we shall now see needs and benefits of training. From the examination point of view, we should be able to write point wise So let us try to mention a few points as far as the needs are concerned. Similarly, next benefits. So first one is needs. Why training is needed? I have enlisted here 5 points. The first one is change in technology at a faster rate. Nowadays, this has become an important one. That means these changes in technology is going to be a key factor for the need for a training program. Suppose the software is changed, definitely training is required, or new modules are introduced in the software in an organization, definitely a training is required, like that. Second one is employment of inexperienced people. That is, you may be taking a new recruit with very good academic background, but he won't have the practical experience of how to do the job. So for that, training is the only intermediary process that enables him to do the job effectively. So that is one second point. Third one is why training is required means work expectations. That is, without training, what is going to happen is the supervisor will have a lot of burden of guiding the person every time, closely monitoring the new recruit or a new employee, even need not necessarily be a new recruit, even somebody who was shifted from another role to a new role, then also that may be required. And also minimum cost and less spoilage. If a person is not having experience and if the person is not adequately trained, properly trained, definitely there will be a lot of wastage of resources. Particularly in industries, there will be a lot of spoilage of material. So what is ultimately going to happen is it is a loss to the company. So for all these purposes, it involves cost and also affects the entire working environment. So in order to have a minimum supervision and minimum cost and less spoilage, training is very much important, very much required. Change of role and transfer or promotion and refresher training for senior employees. Training need not necessarily be for the young. Even for those who have put in some 20 years of service, a refresher training program is required for updating their knowledge and skills that go on changing with the passage of time. Just like we have seen the needs, we'll see the benefits of training. Here also I have enlisted 5 points, directly mainly keeping in view the examination. A well-planned and well-executed training program will benefit by way of, first one is improvement in quality of products and services. Suppose it is a service industry, customer service is paramount. Then if the employee is trained properly, if the salesman or sales manager are trained properly, definitely there will be an improvement in the service that is provided. Similarly, in a manufacturing industry, the quality of the products that are manufactured. Second is improvement of productivity. That is, turnout per hour will increase. Reduction in machine breakage and maintenance cost. That is also, of course, it is something duplication only. The need is reflected here as a benefit. Just now we have discussed. Reduction in accident rate, because the employee will be aware of how to take care of himself as far as safety guidelines are concerned in an industry. Reduction in manpower obsolescence. That means people won't become redundant just because they are not having the current required knowledge and skills. So in this way, we can say that there are 5 benefits of a training program. One is improvement in quality of products and services. Second, improvement of productivity. Third, reduction in machine breakage and maintenance cost. Fourth, reduction in accident rate. Fifth, reduction in manpower obsolescence. So mainly in the examination, the 20 marks question could be expected. One is steps involved in the training process. What are the various steps involved in the training process? An elaborate discussion is to be made. Whether asked or not, we have to start the answer with definition of the training and a few lines of the needs and benefits of the training, 2 or 3 lines. Then we can jump into the steps involved in the training process. First is identification of training needs. How to identify what is actually required to be trained for a group of employees, a batch of say 20 to 30. First one is the source. In fact, we have discussed in an earlier video session also, performance appraisal reports. Performance appraisal reports, normally there will be a provision for the appraiser to make a mention of his strengths and weaknesses of the employee on whom this particular report is being written, and based on that, what are the training needs, which training, the training in which area will help him or her work more effectively in the days to come. So based on that observations or remarks made in the performance appraisal reports, the training needs of a set of people could be definitely be known by the HR department. If they go through the performance appraisal reports for a particular cadre, say assistant managers, there are some say some 10 to 15 people are there. So what is the most commonly written observation as far as training need is concerned? Then that particular topic could be chosen for conducting a training program for them, like that. Second, potential appraisal. Potential appraisal also we discussed at length. So that also provide because based on the potential that is assessed, a set of people where that potential appraisal is very much positive on a particular skill set, definitely they could be given training which will be useful to them in future when they are elevated to the next higher position. Third one is the job rotation. Because of the job rotation requirement, people need training once again and once again in the new roles that are allotted to them. The second major step involved in the training process is formulation of training objectives. That is, because when we said training is to be a very systematic way, a very systematic procedure, so then the objectives are to be defined properly. That means they should be clearly be mentioned in the training policy of the organization. Every organization should have a training policy. First one is to prepare the employees for the job meant for them. Whether it is a new recruitment or on transfer or on elevation, they require the necessary inputs of knowledge and skills which can only come through training program. So first induction training program, subsequently refresher training programs, like that. So anyhow, that objective should be very clear that every employee is to be trained for his requirements. Second thing is to assist the employees for performing better, they should be exposed to the latest techniques and skills. That means updation of knowledge. Everybody won't be doing on their own. Self-learning may be there in respect of a fraction of employees, but not in respect of all. So automatically there should be a mechanism, what is called a systematically placed mechanism, wherein every employee is going to be trained as far as updated knowledge, or latest techniques, development of skills. So advancement, not just basic knowledge and skills. So that also should be attempted by the organization rather than leaving it to the employees to do it on their own. Next is this training program when done in a systematic way. Just now we said performance appraisal reports based and also potential appraisal reports based. You can definitely have a set of officers, second line of competent officers based on the potential appraisal, so that in future they can occupy higher positions and to discharge their duties well. The next step that is involved in the training process is formulation of training policy. I have enlisted here 5 questions. The answers to these 5 questions should find place in the training policy. So it will be there in black and white. It will be a document and duly approved by the competent authority, say the board of an organization, like that. So what are the questions? The first one is, what do you want and hope to accomplish through training? What do you want? That is, at the end of the training program, what change is expected in the trainees in respect of the knowledge, skill and also abilities. How to do that? Sometimes even aptitude change. So that is why nowadays on the commencement of the training program, before actually commencing the first session itself, an entry test is being conducted, and similarly an exit test is also conducted on the last day of the training after the completion of the training program. So the difference in score between the entry test and the exit test, whatever improvement is shown in terms of the marks that are obtained by the trainee, is definitely is a contribution of this particular training input. That is, because of this training input only, that performance in the test, entry test and exit test, that variation or improvement is achieved. So what is going to be achieved is to be assessed in advance by the people concerned in the organization, and that should be properly be documented. Second is, what are the training priorities? Maybe many topics may be there that are to be covered in training, but what are the priorities? Sometimes the priorities also will be time based also. Say in the first quarter, certain topics could be considered as a priority topics for training. Or sometimes when the software is going to be changed, all of a sudden everyone needs to be trained in that particular new software, then that becomes a priority, because everybody is to be trained in the organization. And what types of training is needed, because training methodology may be varying, so that also should be defined, and for which cadre of the people, employees, a particular training is more suitable, that is to be assessed and put in place. And when and where should training be given, whether it is internal training institute or nominating to external training institutes, and when it is to be done, how many days, how many number of people the organizations can spare out of the routine work, that is also important, for how many number of days. Similarly, which outside agencies should be associated with the training. Nowadays there are many external training institutes very much proficient in handling certain areas of main subject areas. They can be collaborated with. Now we shall discuss about the training methods, the next step involved in the training process. There are two broad categories. The first one is on-the-job methods. Second is off-the-job or classroom methods. In the on-the-job methods also, there are four variants. The first one being the on-the-job training. On-the-job training is simply understood very easily. That is, a particular employee will be put on the role directly, but he will be under a very close supervision by the immediate reporting authority or the supervisor, so that he will be guided continuously, and he will be watched also, because the possibility of doing mistakes is very high. So he will be closely guarded, so that the organization's resources are not affected. At the same time, that will be for a shorter period, say for 3 or 6 months. The next one is vestibule training. Vestibule training is a mixer. That is, the theoretical training will be provided in the classroom, whereas the practical work is conducted actually on the production line directly. That is on the job training. A mix of both. That is more applicable to machine operator or a bank teller, because unless they are exposed to the real life situation, they cannot learn. The third one is demonstration. Demonstration, in this particular method, the trainer is going to explain by doing on his own or her own. What I mean to say is, the trainee is going to listen, is going to watch very carefully, and is going to catch the way the demonstrator or the trainer is doing that particular job. So he will be able to replicate it when he is put on the role, actual role. So the demonstrator is going to describe in full measure how to do it by actually doing on his or her own. I think it is very simple to understand. Next is apprenticeship. Apprenticeship is also known to all of us. It is a training program wherein a series of assignments are to be given to a particular employee or a trainee. We can say a trainee, wherein a predetermined schedule will be given, so that over a period of time, 6 months or like that, he or she is going to get equipped in full measure. Actually, this is appropriate where training is required in certain trades like a printer, a mechanic, a machinist, something like similarly any craftsman also. So this is somewhat for a longer duration. Apprenticeship is a for longer duration. So these are all the on-the-job methods. As far as off-the-job methods, the classroom method is well known. The giving lectures, conducting conferences, conducting seminars, and taking up a case study and discussing that, and also role playing. Role playing means very simple to understand. Somebody will be asked to, two people will be called, one will be asked to play the role of an employer, another will be asked to play the role of an employee. Say some disciplinary matter is there, how they are going to handle. So that will be some, then these trainers or trainer will be always be there in that particular situation, and he or she is going to guide. This is not the way, this is the right way for your role. Similarly for the other person. So in this way, certain not just skill sets, even that what we call the not just knowledge. It is a question of real life handling of situations, real life situations, how they are to be handled. Employees are going to be trained. So these are the of the job or classroom method trainings, and we have seen both the types of methods. We have seen the various steps involved that are involved in the training process. Now very important one is evaluation of training. In the evaluation of training, first we have to understand who are the major people involved, who are the main clients. There are four main partners in any training activity. First one is the client organization, that is the organization that wants to get their employees trained. So those people are, that means those employees are going to be the participants. So here the order is the participants. Second is they are sent to a training institute. The training institute is the second one. They are the faculty or trainers, the third one. And the fourth one is the organization that is sending the people. That is the first one, that is the participants. So these are the four important clients, four important clients as far as evaluation of training is concerned. Then how to evaluate the training? Just now we simply said or discussed that is there will be an entry test, there will be an exit test, and the variation in the performance in that particular test by way of getting higher score is only because of the input of training that is given to the trainee. That is very simple to understand. But in a much better, with much depth of understanding, how to evaluate the entire process of training that is imparted. There are four main dimensions of evaluation. The first one is evaluation of contextual factors, evaluation of training inputs, evaluation of training process, evaluation of training outcomes. From the examination point of view, I am specifically mentioning in point wise. For example, if the question is there on evaluation of training, you should be able to say that there are four main clients first, 1, 2, 3, 4. Next, what are the dimensions of evaluation? There are four dimensions: context, input, process, outcome. Context is in which context this particular training program got originated. Just now I have given an example, complete change of the software of an organization. Then definitely everybody has to be given training, all are to be covered. That is a context in which the need for the training has come out. Second is the input that is given. Third is how the training is actually imparted. Just now said there are many methods. We have seen on the job method, off the job method, 4+4, 8 methods. There could be good number of other methods also. Then how the process was actually undertaken, and finally the result. So you have to evaluate the context in which the training need has come out. Second is you have to evaluate the inputs that are given in the training program, and third is how it is given, what is the method that was adopted, and the fourth one is what is the result, whether the original or the targeted objectives of the training program are achieved or not. In this way, we have to understand the dimensions of evaluation. Next comes areas of evaluation. How to evaluate the training? The effectiveness of the training depends on the synergy among the four major partners of training. We have just now seen who are the major partners. That is the client organization, participants, the training institute, and the trainers. Unless there is synergy, the training won't be effective. Simply nominating 2 or 3 people just because a training institute has asked us to send us 2 or 3 people without checking out the whom we are sending and whether the requirements of this particular participant is going to match with the actual training program being conducted by the training institute, then nothing will come out of that type of nominations. That means it won't be effective at all. It won't lead to any desired results for the benefit of the organization or even for the benefit of the employee being sent for training. Hence, so what is fundamentally required is there should be a synergy among all the four major partners of training. Hence, evaluation, whatever evaluation we do, should provide the necessary feedback to all the four, that institution, their trainers, that is the faculty, and the participants and the client organization. All the four are to be given the feedback so that they will examine what is happening. So how? First is simple auditing. What are the outcomes of the training? Measuring the training outcome in terms of what is achieved and how much is achieved. That of course simply can be measured with the post training performance after coming back from the training of the employees. But the next step is that is not alone enough. Why the effectiveness? If the effectiveness is high, why? Is it because the right match, or whether the credit should go completely to the faculty? Like that, we have to analyze why if it is not so, if the effectiveness is low, why, where things went wrong, and after that, what are the remedial measures? Not just diagnosing, what are the remedial measures? How effectiveness could be improved? So hereafter, next time when we are sending some people for a training program to an external training institute, what are the steps we have to take? What little concentration should be there? Just how to properly nominate. So how it will come? Based on the evaluation of the earlier training programs. That only will bring necessary change in the effectiveness of the training. That means the desired objectives of training will be achieved only when such type of diagnostic and remedial measures are taken based on the evaluation received. Next comes evaluation techniques. Here, because we have already stressed upon the importance of evaluation of training, how to do it? There are a good number of methods. Just I have listed only 3. The response techniques, just asking the participants, how is the training? How is the training? Normally that is being done at the end of the training in the form of a feedback form. That is minimum thing in any training program. At the end of the day, at the end of the training program, say it is for 3 days, at the end on the 3rd day after completion of training, a feedback form is going to be given and it is going to be filled, or some Google form may also be given, need not necessarily be in paper form. So, and the responses will be taken. So they may say that so and so topic was covered well or not covered well, so and so session was good, or the overall training program is satisfactory, or overall training program is exceptionally well. Like that, the responses will come. Second is the secondary data technique. Secondary data technique means, suppose somebody wanted to know whether the morale has improved or not. Morale of the employees has improved or not after a particular training program. Say something like a personality development program or some behavioral issues training program, like that, not just a technical training. Then if we ask the people, they may give responses as they like. That means they may not give the actual response. They may try to give a response that is satisfying to the management. Then how to assess? The secondary data technique means collection of data in another way. Say whether absenteeism has come down, that is a pre-training program period and post-training program period. If it has come down, then we can say that the morale of the employees has improved. Like that, based on the secondary data technique, we can have a better understanding, better evaluation of the training program. The third one, a very old one, that means a very regularly followed training technique, that I mean evaluation of training technique, that is observation. Observation, just observing the people. But here the thing is, the person who is going to be observed should not know that he is getting observed. That is important. And as far as the first one, response technique, which is important and also widely followed, there are several methods. Directly, as I said, giving a feedback form or conducting an interview or giving a questionnaire, elaborate questionnaire, and scales, that is unsatisfactory, satisfactory, good, very good, excellent, like that. Likert scale like that. And open-ended forms. Open-ended form means a question will be there, a little space will be given, we have to answer. And also sometimes conducting group discussion. These are the various methods of data collection for response techniques. Now we shall see another important topic from the examination point of view, retraining. Retraining, the word is very simple. Automatically, just by listening to the word retraining, we can say that we have understood what is retraining. But from the examination point of view, if at all it is a short note question, 5 marks question, what to write? Training given once again because of a need. What type of need? Retraining programs are designed as a means of avoiding personal obsolescence. If people are not trained frequently, automatically, definitely, they may not be able to catch up with the current requirements in terms of knowledge, skill, abilities, etc. That is why retrainings are necessary. And the employee also will feel that he is becoming outdated in terms of the job requirement. So, to fill that gap or to avoid such adverse situations, which is going to be having an impact on the morale of the employees, and ultimately it is the organization that is going to be affected, retraining programs are required. Sometimes, after putting in a length of service of some 6 to 8 years, memory loss may also be there. For that purpose also, workers are to be given refresher programs. So that is all coming under retraining. And the need for retraining also arises as a result of technological changes that I told in this particular session itself a number of times rather. The last topic in this video session is making training a strategic function. This is a little advanced topic out of all the topics we have discussed. Before that, I would like to add one important point. Nowadays, training institutes are called learning centers. There is a clear-cut change in the way we are now perceiving training. So, training means somebody telling something and somebody receiving that. That is a trainer training. But nowadays, we are calling we have been naming the training institutes as learning centers, means learning that comes out of the participant. So he has come to the learning center to learn. So there is a very positive way of viewing this particular entire training and development function. So a step ahead is making training a strategic function. Actually, we have always been discussing the achievement of objectives of the organization, efficiency of the organization, effectiveness of the organization. Effectiveness means target versus achievement. So training is also concerned with that only. Suppose in a particular organization the sales are not improving, a training program may be exclusively be arranged so that how to take the leads, etc. will be given in a very effective way of presentations by various modes, lectures or group discussions, like that. Many methods could be adopted, but ultimately the objective is the objectives of the organization are achieved. So in this way, we can say that training is basically concerned with increasing organizational effectiveness. Next step is a way forward. That is, we talk of the current requirement, we may think of the future requirement. When you think of future requirement, automatically training is going to be a strategic function. Current requirement, okay, training is required. Even for the future requirement also, training is required. When we think of future requirements also, automatically training becomes a strategic function. In this way, we have to understand. The current perspective is basically more operational, how to do the job, what is a job card, whether it is understood properly, what are the various steps involved in the job card, like that. Whereas the futuristic perspective is something different, it is strategic. Similarly, here also, when we talk of the current and the future, two things are involved, content and the process. Content, we know what is going to be imparted. Process, how it is going to be imparted, how it is going to be imparted. So the content versus process matching with the current requirement and the future requirement. So how many modes will be there? 4 training modes will come, because we are talking of both the current and the future, and we are also simultaneously talking of content versus process. We will see the diagram. The 4 training modes as a result of it are presented here in the diagram, directly taken from IGNOU course material. If content is considered and the current period is considered, it is a training role. If content is considered, if the future period is considered, it is called research role. Next, if process is considered and the current period is considered, it is called consulting role. If process is considered and future period is considered, it is called change management role. So there are 4 roles here: training, research, consulting, change management. Training and consulting pertain to the current period, research and change management pertain to the future period. So what is a strategic function? When we call the training has become a strategic function, when we talk of the future also, future requirements also. So nowadays, this has assumed a lot of importance in this HR function, training and development, because ultimately the business strategy, whether it is a finance strategy or a corporate strategy or a technology strategy, all these things are to be made known to the trainers. They should be made known to the trainers. They should be fully aware of that. So that type of involvement, at the apex level of the organization, at the top management level, when it happens only, really the training becomes a strategic function. Otherwise, the trainer will go on telling the current things only, because he is not aware of the future plans of the organization, the corporate strategy of the organization. So when only the corporate strategy, the technology strategy, the finance strategy, all these things, the business plans for the coming 5 years are made known to the trainers, that means a lot of weightage is given to the trainers and the training mechanism, then only the objectives of making the training a strategic function is going to be achieved by any organization. But in the long run, it is going to help the organization only. So in this way, we can see the 4 training modes. This is all about the important topics for this training and development unit for the coming examination. Thanks for watching. We shall meet in our next video presentation coming up very shortly, wherein we will take up the next unit, that is unit 11. Please subscribe to the channel and give your feedback in the comment section, which will be of help in improving the content or content delivery or taking up other courses in the MBA program. Your feedback is most welcome and valuable to the channel. Once again, thank you.